and go back and alter things that I had done, because it's a bit of a progression through, years of drawing the characters.
It's funny you mentioned character design, David, because that was one of the first things that struck me. These are complicated costumes with bracelets and piercings and earrings. I was like, oh my God. Like, any thoughts of, man, I really kind of screwed over my future self?
No, and because I was able to do this, I would normally feel that way. You can't design characters so complex in a comic because of that. But I had the time to be able to do it on every page. And it's just my nature. I enjoy laying out pages, but what I really love is just getting in the detail and just losing time. Just, it's just very relaxing for me. So, yeah, I never found a time when I was drawing this where I thought, wow, I wish I wouldn't have drawn the characters this way. There are always times when I would look back at some of the earlier pages and I had ideas about costumes and I kind of forgot over time, and I would try and reincorporate some of that stuff.
Awesome.
Well, talking about changes, so changing kind of like the way the characters might look throughout the story. David, in the back of the first issue, you talk about how narratively some of the beats changed because of the things that David was doing, like with the illustration. So are you able to talk about some of those changes that you brought to the book because of his art?
Well, I mean, the titular Skinbreaker is a sword that I don't even remember exactly. I don't think I even mentioned that it was a crystal sword, right? It was just like, no, they're walking through the woods, and then you drew their weapons, and he drew this like amazing crystal sword, and I was like, oh, cool, that's cool. That's got to be something. And then I started thinking about that because it was a long process making this book, and I was kind of like hopping in and hopping out like as he needed script, because I am nothing if not irresponsible. It's all to me writing the entire script. Like, come on, that's crazy. And I think the book is better for it, because I think I'd only written like the first 10, 15, maybe 20 pages when he started. And so the things that he would do with the characters and the things that he would draw on them or their clothing or whatever, started to inspire the story. And so the entire story is, in a sense, like very dependent on that weapon. That weapon didn't really, so like, I had the art for the story and where everything was going and the kind of story I wanted to tell, but there's so much denseness to the world, and there was a lot of like really rich world building that came from, oh, Dave's drawing it this way. That could mean this. That could mean this. Maybe that led to this. Like, that he gave this guy a scar. Why does this guy have a scar? Who gave him the scar? Like that kind of stuff. Like just kept like snowballing and making the story better and better.
Yeah, an interesting way to world build. I mean, obviously very different from like Invincible or Walking Dead, but you're kind of known for your world building. This is an alien environment. It's a very harsh environment, and building the world out. You've never built a world out like that before, have you?
I mean, to a certain extent, the alien world of Oblivion Song was kind of like the first time I'd done something like this. But yeah, most of my stuff is usually Earth-based and usually modern time. I don't do period pieces. I don't think I've said anything in the future or in the past or anything. And yeah, it was nice to have a book that is like a complete fantasy environment that, isn't Earth. And, look, I don't know if this is another dimension. I don't know if this is in the deep past. I don't know if this is on another alien planet. It's not really important to the story. Like, it could be anything. But yeah, it's a lot of fun having like an entire world to do like unexpected and different things. And we don't have to follow like our rules.
Where did we start with this collaboration and with this story? Where did all of that start?
I mean, I reached out. I honestly don't remember exactly what we met. To be clear, I know that I it might have been when you were on New Avengers and we were at some kind of Marvel function, maybe in Arizona. I don't remember. But we knew each other. We were both at Marvel at the same time. He was doing the big marquee book. I was doing the little dirt books nobody cared about. And Dave, would still talk to me, which was very nice. And so we became pretty friendly. I mean, I'm an old school image guy, and Dave was one of the core like image artists, like working at Top Cow, like in the very early days. So huge fan from the get. And yeah, we became pretty friendly, and I was always talking to him like, hey, when you're done with New Avengers, let's do something. When you're done with Moon Knight, let's do something. When you're done with Batman, let's do something, And it finally got to a point where he was like, all right, I'm ready to slum it. But yeah, we've been friends for a very long time and have been trying to find the thing to work on. Thankfully our paths finally aligned and we were able to make it work.
With this particular story itself, where's the origin of where's the inspiration for this story?
I mean, a lot of it, I have like random ideas that'll pop up, and this is like a really simple story that's like action based and is something that I felt like would work well as an artist showcase. But it really is like, Finch calls me up and it's like, I'm ready to do some work with you, and I'm like, cool. Let me see if I've got anything that he would like to do. Like, what is the thing that I would most like to see him draw? And it really is a creation process that like comes from my relationship with Dave and what we could possibly do together. Do you remember that initial conversation at all, or how I pitched the book to you or anything?
I do. Yeah.
It's so great to find out that you have a better memory than me.
I probably don't, though. So you described it in pretty simple terms, more visual, which is what I understand more anyway. So I had an idea of what I was doing visually, but I remember talking to my wife about what we talked about afterwards, and she said, "So what is it?" And I didn't know how to describe it exactly. I said, well, it's like kind of aliens in space, but not really in space, more like, like Conan sort of, but I couldn't really describe it. And still, it's difficult to describe because it's an alien world, but primitive. And I was much more thinking in terms of just all of my favorite visual influences, like P. Craig Russell. With a lot of my trees are kind of permutations of P. Craig Russell and what's on the tip of my tongue? One of my favorite artists of all time. I'm always this way.
Oh, but Frank Frazetta.
Well, there's that in there. Yeah. There's Apocalypto in there a little bit. Some of the character designs. There's just so many. I don't know. I should write this down first. One of my favorite artists. He's such a fundamental artist for what I was trying to get.
When it comes to you, just interrupt whatever.
I will.
This is I got the name because that's how our brains work.
And just to get it out of the way, like Skinbreaker is a book about a primitive civilization and an alien fantasy world that is on the brink of collapse. And it's all about Anak, the main character, who is trying to shift society to learn new ways to live, to try and survive. And there's a lot of resistance from within the group to stick to the old ways and maintain the way they've always done things and not pay attention to all these dangers around them. And so that's the central struggle that leads to a lot of very cool action and fighting.
Do we know how many issues and where
eight
issues and where are we in the creative process? Are they all done? Are they half done?
About halfway through issue 1.
No, it's done. There's a few like corrections and tweaks and things that we're going to be doing as the issues release. But every page is drawn, the whole thing is written. It's a completed work. We talk about how it took 8 years, but you were mostly finished almost a year ago, so it kind of took 7 years.
Yeah, I finished the end of December. Everything. And then with it being 8 issues, it was originally going to be 1 issue. It got much larger. It was just going to be a big book. So we ended up having covers that needed to be done. Those are mostly done now. All the main covers. I've got a couple of the other covers still. But yeah, the book is finished. 2 corrections.
Yeah.
Might this lend itself to a second arc sometime in the future?
It's entirely possible. I wouldn't want to spoil how this ends, but we'll see. I'm definitely have enjoyed the process of working with David, and would be thrilled to do anything else with him. Were he willing, and that could include a sequel to this.
With it being a project that took such a long time,
You're next.
Is it different in terms of? I mean, anytime you put something out for fans, there's a little bit of nervousness. But to work on something for so long, are you even kind of more anxious to get reaction, to see how fans respond to it?
Well, I certainly am.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be at report card time, let's find out how we did. It's fun. I mean, I try not to think about that kind of stuff because, I think there's a purity to the work and, trying to do our best and, let the chips fall where they may. But it's exciting to, like go into a deep, dark hole and produce a work in a vacuum and then be able to come out with it and, like, hey, look what we did, and so far the response to the, few people that have actually seen stuff has been like overwhelmingly positive, which is always nice. But yeah, like we're really looking forward to fan reactions and, having this become part of the ecosystem and overall tapestry of the comic book industry and, see where it lands.
Yeah, I happened to be looking at the PDF that Shannon sent when I got here on Tuesday downstairs, and there were some other comic artists that I know, and your jaws are just amazing.
So how does, with it all finished, like how does the approach post, change? Like, comics you have worked on are monthly, and you're working on it as stuff released. But since it's done, like how are you approaching the post a little bit differently? You're coming at it.
By post, you mean like the production of
production,
it?
like just promotion. Like are you handling it different than you would like a monthly title that you're still working on? Yeah,
it's a little more chill. You're not going, okay, well, this book's going to be great, and I hope it comes out. In the back of your mind, you're like, I hope it comes out. But yeah, it's nice to have that comfort of knowing that you've kind of already crossed the finish line, and there's not that deadline pressure of producing the book while you're also out there marketing it. It's not an entirely new process for me. Most books that I've done, I've either been a year ahead of schedule or had a number of issues done before we announced the book because the promotion of the book is a job in and of itself. And, I have done it many times where, you solicit the book and then you start drawing issue 1 and you're like, oh my God, like this is by the skin of our teeth. And then you're doing the marketing promotion and you're like, well, we need a promo image drawn. Can you stop drawing the book and draw a promo image real quick? And it's like, this is insane. And so, that's how Marvel and DC do it. Anyway, so we were like, let's not do that. And so I've done it many times, and I find it much, much easier. So yeah, I prefer it this way.
It's a first for me. I've never done it this way, and I'm used to the book is announced and I'm starting. So it's very nice to have it be a completed product. I try not to pay too much attention. I can't help it. I have to know. And really, fan response is the only thing that matters. But it is nice to have a finished book that I can put everything I have into and not get up in my own head about, how people feel about it and just make it a kind of a pure thing. That has been a great experience.
Did you get faster as you went along?
No.
We're doing one of those, double page spreads, like just ballpark. 2 days, 3 days, a week, 10 days,
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Why'd you go with the double page spread?
Well, because I had wanted to work with Robert for a very, very long time. And when the opportunity came, I wanted to make the absolute most of it I possibly could. Really. I mean, that's the simple answer. Opportunities come along in life, not all the time. And when they do, I want to try and make the most of it. And this was an incredibly special one for me, the most special one that I've had the chance to be able to do. And I want to do everything that I possibly could to make it as good as I could possibly make it. And I like detail, and I feel like there are, some strengths in my art for myself and some weaknesses, and detail is something that I feel more strongly about. And so making the pages bigger, hopefully, lends itself more to my strength.
So it seems to like what you guys were saying a little bit ago, that initially this was going to be one big book, right? One issue. And now it's 8 issues. Did that happen into the process where like as soon as Dave started drawing and going, oh, it's taking me this amount of time to do this many pages, Did you guys flip the plan and go, that's fine, keep going, take your time, we'll turn this into a multi-part thing? And, like, was there any sort of estimation early on with agreeing to this project? Like, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to work with Robert. It's going to take me years to finish this.
So the transition happened like after the book was done, and it was written to be a graphic novel. It was intended to be a graphic novel. I wrote it like a graphic novel, and that was very freeing because, when you're writing month to month, when you're trying to limit yourself to sequential issues, I find myself going, okay, well, it'd be really good if this was an 8-page fight scene, but because it's in an issue, it's got to be a 4-page fight scene. And sometimes it's like, this would be spectacular if it was a 17-page fight scene, but you can't do a whole issue. So come on. And so you got to truncate that. And it is somewhat limiting. And so this was written with the freedom of every single scene was written to the length that it felt like it needed to be, which was just a joy to write. And, like having worked on Invincible, the TV show, there's this thing in television where there's like the Netflix drop, and they drop all the episodes at once. And with Amazon, we've been fortunate to be able to have a week-to-week release. And I feel very strongly that week-to-week release gives you time to digest. It gives you time to discuss. It gives you time to build a community around a show where you're actually kind of experiencing it together. And the drop, it ends up being kind of a blip. It's like, okay, what episode are you on? I'm on this. I'm on that. Okay, we can't talk, and then the show comes and goes, and it doesn't really have like as much of a cultural impact as it feels like it should. And so I was thinking of the graphic novel drop in that way. Like if we were to release this as a graphic novel, we would be able to do a big marketing push and promote it. And then the book would drop, and then it would be kind of, okay, that happened, and move on to the thing the next month. And I started to think, like, could this be broken into issues? Because then we would be able to have a much bigger marketing push. We would have an extended period of time where the book exists, that people get to experience it. Mm-hmm. And in a sense, all of this would essentially be marketing for the big graphic novel that we're going to do eventually when we collect it. Mm-hmm. And I think that, that would make the overall experience better. And so I sat down with the story, and I was like, I don't even know if I could break this up into issues. Let me just see. And I was like, hold on. Oh, that's a good ending to an issue. Hold on. That's a good ending to an issue. Hold on. Oh, that's a really good ending to the issue. And to be frank, we ended up having to add 4 pages just to like tweak some things and change the flow to make the issues work. And to me, that was an opportunity to get 4 more pages from the illustrated Finch. I was like, hell yeah, we can totally do that. But the book and all of the issues are extended. So like none of the issues are 20 pages. I think the shortest one might be 26, but there's some 30-page issues and some like a little bit longer in there. So I think it flows really well as an 8-issue series. Like every issue has like its own narrative structure and a beginning and an end that are really satisfying. But yeah, together it'll be a larger story, which is kind of the way I do every book I've ever done. And so it seemed like the right thing to do.
An interesting approach that you have to releasing Skinbreaker is the fact that we're getting like your conventional comic size version, but we're also getting an epic treasury sized edition because of these double spread pages for each individual.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, though, I'll interrupt your question, is that even the single pages are double page spreads. So they're massive. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's not just the double page spreads that are huge. Every single page is a masterpiece. But go ahead.
Yeah. So like you have the double pages, those are 1 page, and then we get 2 of those when we open it. So it is substantial.
Yeah.
So at what point in the creative process did the decision go, we need a treasury size so we can really show off David's art?
I mean, the treasury size exists because from the beginning, the collected edition was always going to be oversized. And so when we decided to do single issues, we were like, it's probably going to be comic size for at least the single issues. And then I think it was Arun Scene at Skybound that was like, nobody's really doing like the old treasury sized comics. And, there's an infrastructure for that. There's boxes already made for those. There's bags and boards already made for those. Like the industry exists to support that format, but people just aren't really doing it anymore. And one of the special things about our treasury edition, because I know that other companies are doing giant versions of their books, and they're just blowing the book up. We're not doing that. We are printing the pages bigger, but we're actually re-lettering them so that the lettering will be the same size in both versions. So it will be smaller and take up less space and cover less art in the Treasury Edition. So the Treasury Edition, you'll actually get a better experience where the lettering isn't blocking as much of the work as it is in the smaller edition. So I think it's going to be a unique experience between the two different formats, and there's an extra special level of care going into our Treasury Edition. It's also going to be printed on some really, really nice paper that I'm really excited about. So yeah.
With the dialogue, you just brought up the lettering. The dialogue actually stood out to me a lot. It's very different, I think, than your other writing that you've done.
Yeah.
It really matches.
Good or bad? No,
it matches the world, right? Like
cool.
Just having someone doing everyday conversation, what makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
Was that always the plan? Did that come off of the art? Like, what was the influence for that?
Yeah,
Or was that even harder to write?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, the characterization of the characters is something that, the writer and artist very much collaborate on. There's some hint of where things are going and what's happening with the dialogue, like when he gets the script, but, there's ways he draws the emotion. There's ways that he, will do the facial expressions and things that can also inform like dialogue adjustments as the book goes. I always do a final lettering pass on the script before the letterer, Russ Wooten, comes in to do the final like balloons and design and everything. And that is to like allow the pages to inspire the script and enhance the script to make the final product as a cohesive thing as possible. And, we're trying to portray a somewhat primitive alien world. So there is like a stilted kind of way that they speak that I'm trying to keep consistent throughout, but may not. So we'll see. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Other than adding in more detail because you had the room, David, anything different from your process for this project?
Well, I inked it, which is something I had done a little bit before, but really not that much. And that was, I would say, just over the course of all the years working on it, I was much more comfortable just penciling because that's what I've done for so many years. And as it went along, I got much more comfortable inking. My tools changed. My approach kind of changed. Hopefully it's visually consistent. I think it's pretty consistent visually, but for me, looking at it, there was definitely a changing process as it went along. And I'd say that I forgot so that would probably be the biggest difference, just being able to carry it through with ink and then get to a comfort level where I actually felt more comfortable being able to ink it and being able to add more, with ink, rather than when I started, it was a little bit more tighter pencils and inking the pencils in more of a traditional pencil or inker way. And as it went along, it became more of the ink was where most of the art was happening.
David, do you have a particular page or panel or moment in your art for this entire story that you are especially proud of how it turned out?
That is a very difficult question for me to answer. I will say this, so far, in issue 1, my favorite page it's in there actually. It's the creature hitting the spikes. It's a bit of a gruesome page, I guess, really, but I just had so much fun drawing it. It was a blast. That's the kind of thing that I'm most comfortable drawing, and so I enjoyed it a lot. With the book printed and being able to read the story, my favorite is actually pages that I didn't really like that much when I was drawing them. But I don't want to go into the story too much, but there's a character that has a really emotional moment. It's over a few pages. It's a very dark scene, and it had a lot of impact for me. And that's usually how it goes. When I'm drawing something, I find the things that I enjoy. Like I like the action scenes and like the big, that's what I enjoy. But when I read it, when it's finished, the pages that I'm most proud of, it really changed for me, and I think that's what I'm most proud of. Certainly in issue 1, just the story really hit me in that one, and I just felt like it worked.
Okay.
Here's my last question. I like to listen to film scores when I'm reading any comics.
Okay.
And I think I've asked you this.
And I never have a good answer.
Never have a good answer. But David, you mentioned some influences earlier. Conan, Frank Frazetta world. I love that pulpy world. I love those comics. But if you could pick like a film score that you think would really match Skinbreaker, what do you think would make for a cool reading and listening experience?
Always got an answer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the first Conan movie, he's got the white and black paint on.
Oh sure.
And he's going through, and that music in that scene.
Yeah. I believe that track is called The Orgy, I think is what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, when they're infiltrating the bad guy's lair and stuff and camouflage. Great. Everybody look up The Orgy and listen to that.
Yeah,
it's really great
to throw that word out there.
But you didn't name it. Beautiful music. That's great. Great answer. Great.
Headline from this. David Finch endorses The Orgy.
Yeah, perfect.
Gosh, I'm still wondering what who the other influence is. I'm scouring over these and I'm seeing various influences it could be, but I haven't quite landed. There were some leaves that I thought, oh, is this old Bill Willingham when he still drew? But I don't know.
Actually, the leaves, a lot of it, I don't know that it would visually show.
Yeah.
But I was looking at Greg Capullo does incredible work. Everything that he does is great. Yeah. And I love how he groups his leaves, and I was trying to pick up on some of that a little bit. And also P. Craig Russell is for the leaves. Oh, yeah. He's the biggest influence. I would say of any artist in that book, he would be my biggest influence.
Bernie Wrightson, Bernie Winchester.
There's actually Bernie Wrightson, yes, in the sense that he's always an influence for me, like always. Barry Windsor Smith, definitely. There's a lot of Conan. I've got the big, huge black and white book, and I had that open quite a bit too. So that's another one. There are a few that, and then I've got my perennial influences. Kevin Nolan is a huge one for me, and he's in there a lot. So it's not so much book specific. That's everything specific. I wish I could remember the other one, and it's not going to come to me.
It'll come to you when you're sitting at your table tomorrow or something.